Let's talk books. Amazon's editorial team read over 250,000 pages this year and has condensed them all to just one. The top 10 books of 2014. Amazon's editorial director of books and Kindle, Sarah Nelson, is here to reveal for the first time which books and authors made the cut. Sarah, good morning.
Hi.
You guys went through 500 books.
At least.
And
yeah.
the book of the year is?
Okay, it's not a blockbuster. It wasn't a big book you probably heard a lot about, but it is the book that we loved from the first line, and it's called Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. It's about a family that loses a child in the 70s. It reminded me a lot of us felt, it was a lot like a book called The Lovely Bones, which was very popular a few years back. It has gotten some very good reviews. A lot of people loved it, but now I hope it'll be the blockbuster it deserves to be.
Well, you mentioned that because it was a bit of a sleeper in terms of where it was on the list.
A little bit of a sleeper, yeah. But it was the one book that we were the most passionate about. Everybody who read it in my group loved it, and so we just went with it.
Let's move on. You have on the list at number 2, All the Light We Cannot See. This is the first runner-up, and we should also mention this is by Scribner, an imprint of Simon & Schuster, a division of CBS. First off, just what's the book about?
It's about World War II, but it's not so much about, it's not a war book, really. It's about 2 children, a French girl and a German boy, growing up in separate places and kind of learning, getting ready to be in this war that they don't even realize is happening. And eventually they meet, but it's not a big romantic, you know, like a commercial meet. It's a beautiful book. It's, Anthony Doerr is a beautiful writer. It was nominated for a National Book Award. So it's a very popular book. I think people are going to be really crazy about it.
Number 3 is a chilling account of the North Pole in The Kingdom of Ice by Hampton Sides. Why'd you like this book?
Did you read The Perfect Storm?
Yes.
It's got a lot of The Perfect Storm in it. It's about a failed, tragic failed mission to Antarctica in the 1920s. And,
well, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Number 4 on your list, The Short and Tragic Life of Robert Peace, another Scribner book. It's a memoir.
It's sort of a memoir. This is a book that's very close to my heart. It's about a young man who came out of Newark, an African-American kid who got a scholarship, was brilliant, went to Yale, ended up back in Newark, and, well, the book is called The Short and Tragic Life, so you have an idea what's going to happen.
It was a good way to not ruin it, yes.
Yeah. But it's written by his roommate for 4 years and his best friend, who went back and tried to figure out what happened and what went wrong. It's heartbreaking. It's a book about race, it's about class, it's about friendship and family. And the mother in this book, Rob Peace's mother, is the purest, most wonderful character. Everybody should read this.
There are a few debut authors in your top 10, like number 5. Phil Cly, who's written something called Redeployment, which is a novel about the Iraq War.
It's stories. It's about the Iraq War. It's about soldiers. It's not all on the battlefield. There are some stories that take place on the battlefield, but it's mostly about these guys, these men and women, during the war, after the war, people who work alongside soldiers who are not necessarily enlisted. It's a strong book about, and Cly is a veteran, so it's fiction, but clearly he knows what he's talking about.
Stephen King's new book, Revival, came in at number 6. Are there a lot of authors who've been on this top 10 list before?
There are a number of authors who've been on the list before. Stephen King, as everybody knows, is just Stephen King. I mean, I don't know how he does it. Almost every year he comes out with a book, one better than the next. I forget how many books he's got out there. But this one is about, it's about the 1960s. It's about drugs. It's about faith. It's about all the things that Stephen King is about. It has a little horror in it, because we've got to have a little horror in our Stephen King novels.
When you go through all these books, and obviously there's so many different topics, there's so many different genres, what are you looking for?
We're just looking for stuff we love. I mean, we are opinionated. You should come to one of our meetings sometimes. You'll hear how opinionated we are. We all read a lot. Some of us have certain specialties or interests, but we're just looking for something that's going to move us, that's going to grab us. We're not interested in blockbusters, in names necessarily. We're interested in picking up a book and thinking, oh, I gotta call in sick today and read this book.
But it certainly does seem you sort of picked books that are from different genres, so different ages, different people, different interests.
Right. Yeah. Because we have a group of people with a lot of interests.
Yeah.
And you were unanimous on your top choice.
Yes.
All right, Sarah Nelson, thank you.
Thank you.